Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently holding above 41k, which is pretty much good for Bitcoin's continuation to the upside. We talked about in previous videos about the fact that Bitcoin is probably being drawn towards the 38.2% FIB level that is sitting at around I think 42.3k. Going to take a look at that in a little more detail, and overall with that slight upside, as always, we see some altcoins really flourish, including Solana, Terra Luna, and what else? They are the two main ones in the top 10. ApeCoin, yes, now that's interesting. eGold, someone wanted me to do an eGold video. I probably do that because I had a lot of requests. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin. As I said, I see two main scenarios here currently in that channel. I did explain it all in detail yesterday. I won't do that again in that detail. But one is that we have already completed the impulse here to the upside, and that we are now going to see a bit of a correction to the upside. Now that could go all the way. Let's just do that. That could go all the way up to into the area between 43.3 and even 47k. Obviously, the higher, the more unlikely in this scenario, but an ideal retracement for that would be 44.5. And after that, we would start the sell-off. And the other possibility is that we have not completed the wave 4 here, and that the impulse will finish somewhere into the region, or in the region between 30 and 40k, probably around 35, 37k. That wave 4 will retrace to that level that I just mentioned here in the introduction, which would be around 42.3. That would be the ideal retracement, the 38.2% FIB level. That would be that retracement level to which a wave 4 is ideally retracing to. So these are the two, let's say, short-term scenarios that I currently see here happening. Both would be invalidated above 48k. Absolutely, because then we would make a higher high, and I think as soon as we make that higher high above 48k, and ideally also wait for that breakout out of that channel, we would get into this range here with a minimum of the 51k, but that is very close already if we then break out. But ideally here into the region between 55 and 65k, that would just be a different wave count. A lot of comments in the last few days about of people not understanding the benefit of Elliott Wave method if there are different scenarios. Well, there are always different scenarios. Even if you don't use the Elliott Wave method, in any technical analysis that is serious, you have to have different scenarios. The reason is that, of course, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody is a fortune teller. Ideally, nobody is a fortune teller, because nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. We can only approach trading or even investing in the way in that we try to find an advantage in the chart, and that we try to find a competitive edge, because people who don't use TA at all, they shouldn't ideally be trading, because it is just luck or gambling, unless people doing just strictly dollar cost averaging don't really need TA, but even they could benefit from a good TA by finding dips and low entry points, and therefore also always to dollar cost average in at low prices. But of course nobody knows, and therefore there have to be different scenarios, because I can't tell you if a certain resistance or support level is broken, but what is important to understand, if that happens, what is the market capable of doing? And also the Elliott waves are important to understand. If certain levels are broken, if a certain scenario gets invalidated, for example this one here, it will then get much less likely that we are still in this scenario, or it will at least, nothing is impossible, and but it will get much less likely that this is still going to play out. Therefore, again, giving you a competitive edge or an advantage by understanding what is now more likely. And everything in trading, in technical analysis, is just probabilities. Nothing is 100% certain. And I understand people who don't really understand a lot about trading or understand about technical analysis and just getting into the space. It can be frustrating, because if you go, for example, to, that there might be some people who only tell you one thing and this is definitely going to happen, but in the end they don't know, right? And they don't know. And in my opinion, it's important to keep an open mind. And as I said, there's always alternative scenarios. I already try to really limit them down. And usually if you see a technical analysis about with Elliott waves, you typically get people to do or give you all sorts of different options. And I already try to limit it to the most likely ones. But again, that is the fact with every TA really, because when you do TA, I mean, it is valid as long as it gets invalidated, and that is actually the thing why it's so important. You know, you obviously can only analyze a chart with the current view. It's a current snapshot, right? But if I, for example, am here in the uptrend, throughout October, and we are in an uptrend as long as we are in an uptrend, but it gets obviously invalidated as soon as you drop below one of these swing lows here. For example, this one, I think at the latest it would have been here at around 58.2. And so if someone gives you a price target of 75, that can be, obviously, it is a guess, of course, but that is of course possible as long as we are in an uptrend. So if you then understand that this probably gets invalidated below a certain level, then that is very helpful, I think. So this is really all what TA can give you. It is designed to give you a competitive advantage, to get an edge. It's by no means 100% right. It can't be. And I often hear the comment that if TA works, everybody would be rich, which is of course absolutely not the case, because any trader really, and professional traders and institutions use technical analysis worldwide. So it's still a fight between buyers and sellers in the market, and because everybody's using it, of course everybody has these tools. So of course not everybody can be rich, because there have to be losers in the market, otherwise it doesn't work. Money needs to move around, and it moves from the people who basically have no clue to the people who can make informed decisions, and that is what TA is about. It can give you an orientation, and that is really, and we need to be honest about that, that is what TA can give you. And there have to be different alternatives. So of course there's no point giving me just one possible option, because then you have no clue what my view is as soon as a certain level gets broken, which is so important, because I can't tell you if that level will be broken. A level is a resistance level until it's broken, and then so therefore the different alternatives. And I think that is the most useful way of presenting this. So as I said, at the moment we are still here in this green box, and as I said in the video yesterday, I for now expect slightly rising prices in any of these scenarios, which doesn't mean it couldn't for short term go down again. We need to understand this is the short term noise. My medium term scenario of course doesn't change, but in the short term, if certain things happen, of course I have to adjust, as any trader or analyst would have to do, right? Because this is just logical. If the market changes, we have to adapt, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. Right here on the 1 hour, this is just the very short-term view. What we can currently see here is that we are forming here something like a pennant, probably a bullish pennant. So you have a triangle here, and we would expect a breakout here fairly soon, because again what you see is decline in volume here on the 1 hour chart. Very clearly you can see it down here on the volume indicator. And again, this doesn't have to break to the upside, but a bullish pennant would more likely than not, maybe 60-70% of the cases, break to the upside. And the breakout point is pretty much now, isn't it? Maybe in 1 or 2 hours, maybe now already. But there is a bit more space here in the triangle. But at some point today, I would expect a breakout out of that triangle pattern. So that is typically here the way this is looking like a trend continuation pattern. That should take us to, in my opinion, at least the previous high, 41.7. And then here we need to take it from there. That would be the target of that triangle, the minimum. And then the more bullish target to the upside would be from the breakout point, the height of the triangle. That could take us to, not much higher. It's only on the 1 hour anyway, to 41.8, 41.9. But of course, we are in a pattern, so there is no guarantee this is breaking to the upside, but this is a bullish potential bullish pattern. Okay, so this is where we are here in the very short term on the 1 hour. And let's take a final look at the MACD, and the profile here on the MACD shows that we see decreasing negative momentum, which I already, I think, talked about in the last couple of videos at some point. So we are due here for a bullish crossover, and if that plays out, then again that could, as it did up here when I told you that we were approaching a bearish crossover probably, and that this can lead again to a downtrend. Now this again now can lead to an uptrend. I think we're already in the beginning of one. So if this is playing out as a bullish crossover, and typically you see rising prices already before that, that can of course then support both of these scenarios that I just gave you, where we see slightly rising prices. And yeah, in both of these scenarios really. So again, this here is on the daily. I think on the 8 hour we might already have that bullish crossover. There you go. On the MACD, see that already, increasing bullish momentum. On the 4 hour chart, we already see slightly decreasing bullish momentum, but that is no surprise because we are in a sideways range that will change and go up or down depending on in which direction we are going to break out of the triangle here. And looking at the relative strength index, which also gives an idea about momentum, we are still here in the bearish range, but as soon as you see that break out above 50, I think we could see some stronger movement that would get together with possibly a bullish crossover on the MACD, so possibly pushing prices here a fair point higher. So you can see how oftentimes here the RSI also on the Bitcoin chart on the daily is pretty much divided in two sections. You can see you have normally quite a bit of a spike if you break above 50. So this would then be the more bullish momentum, and below 50 is obviously the bearish momentum, in which we still are, but the 50 level here is quite important. Yeah, and that is pretty much my view about Bitcoin here at the moment. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.